Indie horror has always been home to many fan games, and the largest of this majority has of course been Five Nights at Freddy's. FNAF has ruled the fan game scene for so long, it's nearly impossible to be in the fandom and not know of any fan games. They even made a fanverse with some of the more prominent fan games in it. Many fan games throughout the ages have been renowned for their gameplay, style, or just general appeal. Though recently one has come out I believe to topple over many in sheer quality, from a killer OST to an eye-catching art style and amazing final sector. I believe our topic for tonight is truly one many will enjoy for themselves. I'm Synn, and welcome to another evening of Horror and Chill, the lovely online web series where I talk about a horror-related topic and the vibes are chill. Tonight's topic? Playtime with Percy. Playtime with Percy is a fascinating FNAF fan game created by Fazie Funbear. It stars our night guard Nick, who was called in by his boss to do some last overviewing of the animatronics as Percy's playhouse is now being prepped for demolition. So we're there to ensure that Percy is safe from any form of break-ins. The game's nights are not restricted by any time limit aside from the one you give yourself. You are presented with a PAL Percy, which you must play throughout the night in the midst of the chaos in order to get through each night. The PAL Percy has 3 games you can play: catching bones, giving Percy water, and playing catch, each with their own designated point amount given to your PAL Percy. Monday is our intro to the nights and is the perfect way to introduce us to the beginning of the game's mechanics. In our room are 2 vents, and of course the animatronics will climb into said vents to try and get us. 2 animatronics are active this night: Mother Moose, an animatronic who requires you to actively busy yourself with something, and Charlie Cat, who needs you to stare at him before he goes away. These characters are only the first of many, but they are a perfect introduction for anyone who has both played and not played FNAF fan games. Their mechanics work well together and keep you paying attention, though you don't really need to use the cameras for these 2 as much as you'd think. When they climb into the vents, a sound cue plays, and since it will play in whichever ear side the vent is on, you will be able to move your attention over to that area promptly. Monday night, you only have to get 30 points, which is quite easy to speed through if you get accustomed to things quickly. The game then presents us with a new part of our end nights. At the end of the night, we are presented with the end of the night job. We are tasked with selling the animatronics to the buyers online. This is often interrupted by Charlie Cat walking past us, trying to catch us and stop us from selling off his friends. Which, honestly, yeah, fair enough. As you go, you learn just how finicky the router for this place is, and that Charlie Cat will start to pause and wait for you, just trying to catch you when you're off guard. When I first played the game, I was fully expecting to get familiar with this sole mechanic, that we'd have to be dodging a single entity constantly, and assumed that this would be the whole game just slowly ramping up in difficulty. I was wrong. So very, very wrong. You see, the game doesn't stop introducing new stuff here. In fact, it just keeps going. Night 2 goes on and begins with the same 2 characters, Mother Moose and Charlie Cat, but now we are given a new toy to play with, Simon Says, which is used to ward off the ferret farmer Felix. You have to match the color of his eyes to the color on the machine. You'll know when he's approaching when you hear a very loud clunking of his feet. This addition is a bit disorienting at first, but eventually you adjust to it quite well, as often his eyes will remain the same color for up to 2 to 3 times when he passes through. Charlie Cat and Mother Moose are very prominent characters you still have to face, but they are quick to catch up when handling them. This night ends with you now having to try and enjoy some free time. Your goal in this extra time is to beat the highest score in an arcade game, Attack of the Space Dogs. In this game, you'll have to shoot rockets like playing a game of Space Invaders. You can collect power-ups that will help you achieve this goal, but you do have a minor problem. Mother Moose decided it's not your turn on the arcade machine, so she will come and try to attack you from behind. The only way to stop her is to flash her with a camera, akin to Funtime Foxy from Sister Location. Though soon, just 1 flash won't stop her, it will have to be 2 back to back. This night ends with you beating the game, by technicality, as the game crashes before you can encounter the final boss. Wednesday night begins, and we finally get to encounter the main man himself, Percy the Poodle, who really wants to meet us. But sadly, we just don't want that to happen. We are introduced to the locking the door mechanic. Percy will slowly approach us behind the glass along with a smaller poodle. Both will try to enter our room, but we can either choose to close the door on the poodle when she peeks in, or hold the door shut against Percy. This night starts to ramp things up, but only a little. Nothing major or too intense, but enough to get you a little more on edge compared to the other nights. Our end of the night minigame this time is restoring the power, well, to the power. You have to go through a bundle of minigames and solve them, all while Rowan Rat is trying to come at you from 4 wall holes behind you. The only way to make him go away is to shine your light upon him, which gets more intense as he gets more and more aggravated when the night goes on. Just as we thought our night has ended properly, we're brought to a cutscene. We call our boss and leave him a message, and we make a comment about our pal Percy acting funny. After we end our voicemail, we find a disc. We can choose to take the disc or leave it as it is. If we choose to take the disc, at first we think it doesn't work, and so Nick goes to bed. We linger on the screen, and it shows us a video, one that gives us a PSA on the pal Percys. They were being recalled and should be returned immediately. Wednesday night comes to an end, and we're brought to Thursday quite swiftly. Thursday was the night I had the most trouble with, as you're introduced to a radar system along with a small new nuisance. The radar system is designated for Rowan Rat, who has 4 holes he uses to dig towards you, and you do not want him to get to you. Unless you enjoy having sharp metal claws digging into your skin. You have to use the system that senses movement to find him on the cameras. When you find him, you must administer a shock to him to ward him off. Along with this new mechanic, one of Percy's small poodles likes to disappear onto one of our cameras. You have to find him and stare at him, which sounds simple enough. I mean, they do give you a sound cue, a little squeaking noise. But this squeaking noise is the same as for when the smaller poodle opens your door, which ended up tripping me up more than I'd like to admit. This sounds like something you could probably get used to with ease, right? Well, add on that you need to balance Percy, Charlie Cat, Mother Moose, Farmer Felix, and the tiny poodles, and the rat, and you can start to see a little bit of the anxiety and stress that starts to perk up in this night. Thursday night ends with us now having to fix Farmer Felix after he collapsed in the hall. Though, of course, nothing is simple here. While you're trying to fix his head, you have to deal with the poodlets trying to interfere. Which, you can bat them away with 1 click at first, but as you get further into the completion, it turns to 2. This constant stream of different minigames after each night, but with the vaguely same idea, is a nice breath of fresh air. If you pick up on that pattern early enough, you'll notice it's always involving you turning around, and depending on how far you are in the level, it's a single click or a movement or 2, but with different things each time, so you never know just what you'll be facing on your first playthrough. Friday night, we're not given any kind of new mechanic, just left to survive the night under the rogue animatronics that are hellbent on making us stay. It takes time, I failed at a decent few times, but soon we're brought to our shift being complete. Then we get to do our final minigame, fixing Percy. This seems easy enough, and while we're on edge the entire time, we can get the tasks done with ease. Just when we think it's over, Percy's core starts to smoke. Our boss calls us, and we explain what happened, and he remarks about finding a new battery or using a substitute. You hear the pal Percy going off and decide to use it as their replacement. And the credits roll. We can enjoy that we beat the game, though the ending feels lackluster and a little run-of-the-mill. But that's not the end. Of course not. We're forgetting our best friend. Our only friend. Pal! How could we ever think of leaving without them? No, they won't let us leave. And so, a boss battle ensues that overshadows almost everything we've done before. Facing off Pal, we have ourselves locked in a storage closet. The entire battle is timed, and we are given a new Pal Percy, one that's connected to the power of the building. We just need to charge it up 5 times to stop Pal. There's these poodles that will also just casually descend from the heavens, and like any other time, they can very easily mess up key things like your camera or your vision. So, to deal with the poodles, you either have to click on them or run them over with a cart. You know, casual child murder. Along with that, you have to handle multiple other Tamagotchi beings. While having to deal with enemies slowly piling upon us with each charge we gain, even once we get to the final charge, the night still keeps going. It goes until a calm end is reached, and once more you think it's done. But Pal bursts in the room. Pal calls us their best friend, saying we'll still take them with us, right? Nick denies this to Pal, and Pal, of course, decides to end their friendship the only way they can. Permanently. Just as we think our end is here, a demolition team comes to save us, shattering Pal, giving us the chance to leave our quote-unquote friend to be forgotten and destroyed in the rubble in memory of Percy's playhouse. So what is the takeaway of this lovely fan game?
Holy shit, why is it actually so good?
The game has a custom night and a ranking system. Other than the game just being a good game, I believe the ranking system is a key part of the game's replayability, as many people aim to try and achieve the infamous S-tier status of the game. The characters are an interesting cast, and a large majority of this game is in a 2D art style. But the boss fight is in this gnarly 3D style. The two don't clash whatsoever, and the boss fight itself is so very investing. The characters each have their own unique jumpscare noise, and the music of the game is so downright breathtaking, especially again on that boss fight. I just can't get over how investing the entire boss fight was. I seriously implore you to play the game. It's free on Gamejolt and it's worth your time. More people deserve to know about this game, because it's an actual engaging game with a team that cared for behind it, and it shows. I think that's all I got for this fine evening. I'll take my place back in the void. Drink water, get some sleep. Good night.
Good night? It's so far from good night. Oh, look at all these new friends. We can play together all through the night and through the day, forever and ever, and...
I believe I said good night. There we are. Good night, pal. Good night, dear viewers. I hope to see you all very soon. Sleep well. Good night.